It's 6 p.m. and I'd like to call to order the June 11th, 2024 monthly meeting for the South Cranberry Water and Sewer Authority. Want to welcome everyone here tonight. Thank you for being here, both of you. Oh, three of you, excuse me. And with that, let's go to the roll call.
Commissioner Gooch,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaczynski,
Present.
Mayor Jordan.
Present.
Commissioner Karen is not with us. Councilperson Daniels,
Present.
Commissioner McLeod,
Present.
and Commissioner Way will be absent this evening.
Okay,
All are accounted
so everyone's accounted for.
for. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Quorum.
And now if you will, please go with me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this beautiful day that You've given us. We thank Thee for the times that the good times we're having and the trials and tribulations we're facing. Bless each and every one of us here tonight and all those that view this meeting. Guide us and direct us and do what is pleasing in Your eye and what is best for our customers and our employees with the South Cranberry Water and Sewer Authority. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And now, Mr. McLeod will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, adjustments and approval to the of the agenda. And I believe we have a adjustment to our agenda tonight, number 11. Mr. Schroyer, will you guide us through this?
Sure, Mr. Chair, board members, this evening. Item 11, we have some updated costs for you on a cost table, starting on page 22. So since our agenda books were already published, we made what we call a slip sheet, and that item is found within your agenda packet as well. And we'll be happy to cover that when we get to that item this evening. Just wanted to bring that to your attention as you're looking at the overall agenda. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda as
Motion.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Review and approval of our minutes from May 14th. Has everyone had a chance to look these over?
Motion
Yes.
to approve.
We have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise. Ayes have it, motion carries. Public comments, did we have anybody sign up or
We have not.
send any in?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and now, for discussion items, do we have any discussion items for tonight? Anyone send any in? Nope. We don't have any discussion items for tonight, so we'll move on to item number 9 on our agenda. The May 31st, 2024 emergency expenditure follow-up for the Joe P. Road Pump Station. Mr. Schroyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an information-only item this evening, although I do have a recommendation that involves a budget amendment 11, which is associated with this item, and this will be coming up obviously after this item this evening. So on the morning of 5/24, I notified the Board of Directors via email about a weather-related incident regarding the pump station at Joe P. The pump station suffered problems due to some heavy rain events on late 5/23 and early into 5/24. In summer, the two pumps in the pump station got flooded and the pumps failed to perform as required. Due to our upgrades to our automatic notification system, our utility crews responded very quickly to the situation and started with our emergency pump in the operation. The emergency pump did not provide enough pumping performance for us, so we had to rent a larger pump from Sunbelt Rentals to perform the 24/7 pumping requirement. The large pump remains in service to this date. During the week following the event, Pearson Pump Company was called to the station to remove the pumps and take them back to their facility for inspection. Pearson Pump Company completed their inspection of the pumps and found that one of the two pumps had a large hole in the side of the pump. The large hole was caused by some type of debris that got into the pump and then was forced into the steel wall of the pump housing via a high-speed pump impeller. The damage to one pump caused flooding damage to the other pump. In summary, both pumps experienced damage and are being repaired. The board has provided me, the executive director, with emergency purchasing authority when incidents like this occur, that I can exercise emergency purchasing authority for goods and services costing less than $90,000. On 5/31/24, I authorized expenditures to the following vendors to reestablish sanitary sewer service at the Joe P. Pump Station. Sunbelt Rentals was a vendor, Creedmoor Fuel and Pump, and also Pearson Pump. Those three vendors together equaled a expenditure amount authorization of $71,585. Part of the requirements for the emergency spend requires that I must report to the board within 3 business days with a comprehensive report on the event and expenses at the next regularly scheduled board meeting. This is the next scheduled regular board meeting, so I'm presenting this information this evening. And again, when this event occurred, the board did receive notification from me about this and what I needed to do. The pump repair work will commenced on 6/3/24 and should be completed not by mid-June, but due to the extent of the problems by mid to late July. The expenditure for the emergency pump repairs will be included in the FY 23-24 budget amendment this evening. That is budget amendment number 11. And my recommendation is the board approve the FY 23-24 budget amendment number 11 associated with this item, coming up obviously later in the agenda. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board members may have regarding this situation or the status, but I would like to say that I greatly appreciate the board members giving me the ability to have this emergency authority to exercise when needed to keep our facilities running.
Anyone got any
I
questions?
have 2 questions.
Sure.
First one, how old were the pumps?
I don't have the exact date of the pumps, but I would say that they're at least 10 years old.
And is it possible this pump can be used other places the same size? It just seems like we continue to have pumps failing. Can we have some in stock, but are they all different?
No, that's a great question. We have a variety of pumps and different horsepowers out there. This is one of our larger pump stations that we have out there. We are not asking to purchase a brand new pump at this point, but simply to make the repairs to the pump due to age. There may be a possibility we can use this pump in the future at a different pump station. I do not believe that it will be sized for the new Joe P. Pump Station, which is due for construction in the next couple of years.
Anyone else?
This pump station is costing us a fortune.
I think that
It really is.
I would speak for my staff only that we are anxious to get rid of the Joe P. Pump Station and move to a brand new pump station. And it seems like that, yes,
It can't happen fast enough.
exactly.
Yes. Absolutely. Can't happen
Between the
fast enough.
repairs and the overtime, this is costing us a fortune.
It is. But we're in compliance, that's the good news. We're able to stay in compliance and not have spills during this event. And just to remind the board, a couple of years ago, we upgraded our warning system, our alert system, our SCADA, so that we get these alerts immediately so that we can dispatch teams to the site so that we don't have problems there on site.
So the alerts get us to the site for an overflow faster than,
They will notify us immediately that there's a problem at the pump station, electrical, mechanical, a float that's a problem, a high-level alarm, anything that's going on, so that we have crews out there that can respond.
I'm glad, we're gonna wear that one out.
Yes. Agreed. So again, this is a recommendation is to have the board further consider and possibly approve the budget amendment number 11 associated with this item.
Okay. All right, any further questions on item 9? Okay, item 10 is our fiscal year 24-25 pay and classification update. And Ms. Adcock is up to bat. How you doing?
I'm good. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, of course, you all know this was adopted in the 2019 personnel policy and by the board. And according to our policy, we have to have this approved by the board each year when we update the class and pay scale. We've just done a 3% across for the COLA. So that's the biggest change this year. Did anybody have any questions about
Are there other changes?
before we go? Yeah, I mean, now, of course, we added the
the
assistant
positions.
director. Yeah,
Okay,
Was there any cost of living in that 3%? Or is there?
that is the.
that is the
that's
COLA.
Mhm. So this new scale has the 3% all the way across.
Right, so just to, if I may, Mr. Chair, just to complement what Priscilla was talking about, this document normally comes to the board following budget approval, and we had budget approval last month.
Yeah.
So timing up basically here before the beginning of our new fiscal year, July 1st, this document for our upgrade to our pay and classification plan is brought to the board for review and consideration for approval. And an additional item which you'll see coming up is also for the insurance program coming up as well, which has an effective date of July 1st. So we have our classification plan in front of you, and we have also added the updated organizational chart as far as Exhibit B, and Priscilla would be happy to walk you through anything on the classification chart or the organizational chart that is attached.
Okay, anyone have any questions? Okay,
Need a motion?
need a motion.
So I make a motion that we approve the 24-25 position classification plan effective July 1st, 2024.
Okay, do I hear a second? Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now we're done the, number 11. And this is the, employee benefits contract renewals.
So with this, it's just, nothing's changed with our carriers. We're still with Blue Cross for medical this year again, and then Guardian provides our dental, vision, and long-term disability. And then we just give a cost analysis from year to year, what the increase is. The cost difference from last year from 23-24 to 24-25 for our insurance is $25,270.32. Luckily, we did not have that 15% increase, and they were able to negotiate that down to 6.18%. That's always our biggest cost. So as I said, and then the difference for the total for everything from last year to this coming up year is $26,528.15.
Priscilla, would you please use the slip sheet version?
I was gonna say.
Oh, I'm
this is
sorry,
The
I was
actual
reading off the
version,
wrong
yeah, so
one, I'm
just-
sorry, y'all.
Just again to mention.
So.
And explain the reason for the updated cost tables, if you would. please.
Yes, so with that, we like to use if we were fully staffed, 49 instead of the current 44. And so originally I had just used the current numbers. So in the slip sheet, I updated that to show that if we were fully staffed,
Okay.
that's what the cost would be.
So that's the difference in the numbers. You're using the numbers if we were fully employed,
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah,
all positions filled.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chair and Board, just as a reminder, for about the last 18 to 24 months, we've been at about a 90% rate as far as number of employees we have, considering what we're authorized to have. So just keep that in perspective as well. And the difference year over year between the document and the slip sheet is about $3,460 difference. I see some calculators out running some numbers, just to give you a perspective on that. Additionally, something that Priscilla didn't mention, but it's in the memo as well, is that we actually estimated a 15% year over year increase in our budget for this item, and we came in much less than that in total, which is great overall for our insurance needs for the organization.
Okay. Any questions?
So the slip sheet is because the calculations were wrong in the budget document?
No, the slip sheet is because in the actual, in the agenda, I had only accounted for the number of employees we currently have,
Okay, okay.
instead of what, if we were fully staffed, what it would be.
So it might come in even less.
It
if we
could,
don't fill those
exactly.
positions.
Oh,
Okay.
We just wanna make sure we had an apples to apples comparison in terms of our year-over-year
And
costs.
how many people did we have use family
Last year,
this time?
or this coming up that have signed up? Let's see, we did, I think we've got a couple of folks that did their, spouse and themselves, and then one person doing family. But we've got some new hires coming on, so that could change.
Yeah.
We just completed our open enrollment process to get ready for this change on July 1st, so we will have those numbers calculated and better information as far as that census goes, following July 1st. If there's any information the board would like about that, we can report back on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
I make a motion that we authorize the executive director to execute the contract renewals for the Cross Blue Shield and Guardian.
Okay, we have a motion. Have a second? Have a second?
Second?
Okay.
I thought maybe Kenneth
I
said,
did say second, but he didn't maybe.
that's all right.
He's on my bad ear.
I thought someone
can't
said
hear.
it and then she kept, so I said
That's the side I can't hear too good on.
it.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Kenneth.
Priscilla.
But, anyway, is there any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, likewise. Ayes have it, motion carries. And now we're to number 12, our fiscal year 23-24 budget amendment number 1. Mr. Richard Ball.
Number 11.
Number 11.
I wish we were on number 1, we'd all be happy.
Yeah.
Number 11's a little different.
Item 12, amendment 11. Item 13 is amendment 12. I got a little confused there.
Right. So in your agenda package tonight, we have a few items to kind of close out this fiscal year. Hard to believe, but we're at June 30th almost again, start a new fiscal year. So just to recap, this is kind of a comprehensive budget amendment. We do one typically every year where we reanalyze the revenues and we tweak some things for rate increases, especially in this one, you'll see some electricity due to Duke Energy's rate increases. So just to kind of summarize, this budget amendment for fiscal year 23-24 increases budgeted revenues for water and sewer based on current projected revenues. If you'll recall last month at the quarterly update, we kind of delved deep into the water and sewer revenue increases that we saw this year and the reasons for those. It also appropriates additional budget for general legal services. It reallocates budget for service contracts and software implementation at the administrative office, supplies at the water treatment plant. Those are basically internal reappropriations. This amendment reallocates budget for property and liability insurance. We have an increase due to the addendum required by Norfolk Southern Railroad for the I-85 project that resulted in a little additional premium for this year that wasn't anticipated. Reallocates budget for amortization and interest expense in accordance with GASB 87 related to the administrative office lease. And there's a new GASB being implemented for Sequasa the first time this year is GASB 96, and that's capitalization of software. We didn't have any last year. On May 24th, 2024, Scott reported the emergency repair incident. That's included in this budget amendment, and you'll see that we're reallocating two different sections on that. He exercised his authority granted in the fiscal year 23-24 budget ordinance. The language is included in your agenda to reallocate budget of $10,000 for the initial emergency expenses on May 24th, and exercise the emergency purchasing authority to authorize needed repairs of $60,000 on May 31st. Scott recaptured all those in a previous item. So you'll see that this budget amendment includes reallocating $70,000 for those expenses. You see a history of the prior 10 budget amendments. The total effect on fund balance was to we used fund balance of $3,260,533. This amendment is increasing water revenue by $250,000, sewer revenue by $550,000. On the expenditure side, that's total revenues increase of $800,000. On the expenditure side, we're increasing the administration department by $5,000. We're decreasing the utility sewer line maintenance by $60,000. That's part of that Joe P reallocation. We're increasing board depreciation and other for $60,000. That's the amortization we talked about on the two GASB implementations. We're increasing the pump station towers for utilities by $60,000. And transfer to fund balance, the net increase in fund balance is $735,000 due to those revenue increases, so total expenditures $800,000. You've got the supporting documentation in your agenda with quite a comprehensive reallocation between line items within some departments where we are covering a few deficiencies with other budget surpluses in those departments. The Executive Director's recommendation is that the Board of Directors approve budget amendment number 11 as presented.
Any questions? Hearing no questions, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now, we move down to item 13, which is budget amendment 12.
That's correct. And barring some further emergency repair that requires a call board meeting, this is the final budget amendment for the fiscal year. So this is fiscal year 23-24 budget amendment number 12, as you mentioned. It's specifically for the I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project. This budget amendment appropriates additional budget for the I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project for costs associated with easement acquisition. It is recommended that this appropriation be approved from the capital improvement plan fund balance to be fully funded by the authority. In short, this will not be submitted for reimbursement as part of the $35 million ARPA grant. You see the prior budget amendments 1 through 11, the one including the one that we just approved, that now fund balance has a negative effect of $2,525,533. This budget amendment increases revenues by transferring from fund balance $1,400,000 and assigning it to the projects and studies expenditure project of $1,400,000. You see the supporting documentation, which is pretty straightforward. It's only one item in this budget amendment. In your agendas, I'll be glad to answer any questions. And there's two recommendation motions. The Board of Directors approved both motions shown below. Motion 1 to approve budget amendment number 12 for the cost associated with acquiring easements for the I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project. Motion number 2 is a related motion to authorize the Executive Director to take all actions necessary to acquire easements for the furtherance of the I-85 sanitary sewer improvement project. The Executive Director is also authorized to proceed with condemnation of all easements that cannot be acquired through negotiations on such time frame as the Executive Director shall determine necessary to meet deadlines established for the project. The Executive Director's authority to settle easements is capped at the amount appropriated for easement acquisition.
Okay, anybody questions?
Richard, this 1.4 million is not coming out of our general fund balance, is that correct?
It is not coming out of operating fund balance, that is correct.
It's coming out of the capital improvement funds.
That's correct. And two of the items that'll be on the July agenda, we can't close those two out and bring them to the board until June 30th is actually came and gone. One of those is your annual designation of CIP, telling you how much we're adding to or taking from the CIP fund balance for the whole year. That's an annual designation the board does, and you'll see this 1.4 reflected in that ending balance.
Because my other question was where we have the supporting documents and we show the list of all the budget amendments. I'm wondering why this is not in a chart of its own.
That's a good question, and we've thought about that in the past. Officially, because we are a single enterprise fund, a water and sewer fund, we're not like a governmental that can have multiple funds or capital project funds. We cannot have a true capital project fund as an enterprise fund. It has to be rolled back in at year end. So we could split it out for internal purposes of displaying to the board, and I'll be glad to do that starting with next fiscal year if you'd like. I do it internally. When I'm preparing the budget amendment, I have a spreadsheet that does that, that takes this chart, splits it into two columns. Right. And I can present that as a supporting document in the future if you'd like, so that you can see what's operating fund balance and capital fund balance. But because for audit purposes, they are one fund balance.
Right.
It's a designation, not a reserve. If it were a reserve, it would be two separate fund balances.
So we can't set that money in an account off to the side?
Now, we do set the money off in a separate bank account. Physically, it's in a separate bank account. But in the financial statements, it's all one fund balance. With a separate line that's kind of a subcategory of that fund balance that says designated for CIP. So if you look at your monthly interims, you'll see that there is a fund balance and a designated fund balance, but then at the bottom, it totals it all into one fund.
I would like to see it separated.
I would like to
wouldn't
see
you?
it separated.
Okay, I'll be glad to separate that in the future ones.
Thank you.
That'll be a good change for July, and it'll be a lot more transparent, I think. That's good discussion.
Any further questions?
Yes, a point of clarification question. So are you saying you would like to see that information on the table data provided on page 28, for example? Crystal, maybe you can pull up to that page for us.
I think she's saying on page 30, the supporting document.
Well, and that's why I'm asking the question, go a little bit further. So are you asking, is the board asking to see a split here on this, where you have the budget amendment to see what amounts go into which column? Would that make it, is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, isn't that what you said?
In that
You
table?
could put a second column in there?
I can put it here in the actual
Yeah,
budget amendment. I was thinking we were saying in the supporting document for
yeah,
the
that's
budget
where
amendment.
I was at that
On
one,
page
but it
30.
doesn't matter as long as it's somewhere
Okay.
separated
We'll,
out.
we'll work on a table of values and see what works best.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Any comments? Well then, let's start with motion one.
I make a motion to approve budget amendment number 12 for the cost associated with acquiring easements for I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project.
Second. We have a motion and a second.
You write the check, did you?
Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now on to motion two.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve motion two, and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye,
Aye.
and all those opposed likewise. Ayes have it, motion carries. And now we're at, item 14. Accounts receivable year-end write-off.
Item 14 is a year-end cleanup item that the board sees every year. There's no action required, it's information only. Basically, the board approved a policy on April 11th, 2006 to create a write-off to get the AR system cleaned up. And basically, at that time, the board, with help from some SOG and LGC guidance, we developed a policy to say there's basically 5 categories that will allow the finance department to write off as long as they're reported to the board in advance. And so that's what this is. The categories are bankruptcy, where bankruptcy's been filed and we cannot seek collection of outstanding debt. A deceased debtor, that's a prior customer who is deceased and there has no estate, or the estate we couldn't get the money from. Court refuses judgment. We haven't had any of those to my knowledge. Untraceable, that typically has been for corporate clients, non-resident, non-personal clients that have ID numbers that we could not seek collection against through debt set-off. And de minimis immaterial amounts, which are typically our smaller ones. That's where there's the customer paid and left a balance of below $5, and they may never come back, so we write those off to keep the books clean. You'll see this year, in analyzing the past year's transactions, we had no bankruptcies, no untraceable commercial accounts that we did not collect, and no de minimis accounts that we didn't collect. So we did have 8 deceased accounts that we identified, for a total write-off of $1,940.25. And so that's what we will write off the AR system prior to June 30th, the year-end close.
Okay. And there's no action needed on this. This is for our information only.
That's correct. I'll answer any questions the board may have, but there's no action required in the recommendation. And of course, you have the administrative procedure behind this that the board approved that we discussed previously for backup documentation.
Okay, anyone have any further questions? If not, we're Move on to item 15, our collection system upgrades, capital project ordinance amendment 1.
This item goes kind of hand in hand with the 812. So on May 10th, 2022, South Carolina Seguasa's board passed a capital project ordinance at that time to appropriate funds for the purpose of the I-85 sanitary sewer collection system upgrade project. The ordinance at that time, the original ordinance appropriated $5,352,900 for engineering design services, and those were coming from the $35 million ARPA grant. And we appropriated $1 million of Seguasa's CIP designated fund balance, as you'll recall, for legal services and subcontracted legal services for land acquisition, easements, and permits. A copy of that resolution is included in your package for reference. On September 12, 2023, the Seguasa Board approved an amendment to the CDM Smith contract for engineer design services in the amount of $374,600 and associated budget amendment number 4. This ordinance amendment basically captures that approved increase in appropriations for design and engineering. On tonight's agenda, the board was presented with fiscal year 23-24 budget amendment 12 to appropriate an additional $1,400,000 for easement acquisition. This ordinance amendment also captures that appropriation. The analysis, the capital project ordinance amendment number 1 is being presented to update the ordinance as of June 30th, 2024. This will bring it up to date with all the changes the board has approved. Schedule, the amended ordinance will be recorded and reflected in the audited financial statements for year ending June 30th, 2024. The financial aspects of this, as I just said, that budget amendment number 4, the board has already approved that in the amount of $374,600 on September 12th of 23. And this will also capture the $1.4 million. In your agenda packages, you have capital projects ordinance, the original one dated May 10th of 2022, and you'll see the proposed ordinance amendment number 1. The executive director's recommendation is that the board of directors adopt the amended capital project ordinance as presented. Are any questions on the capital project ordinance amendment?
Any questions? If not, do I hear a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt the amended capital project ordinance as presented, and we have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now, item 16, which is our I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project, our legal services task order amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, we have a lot of items focusing on the I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project, which is great as we continue to move in positive direction with that project. Just to remind the board that we've completed the 100% design on that project. We've got a lot of work ahead of us between now and August, September, as we're working on easement acquisitions, as we're getting ready to prepare bids and specs and put those out for bid later this fall. So everything's moving well on that project. Just thought I would throw that in before we got into this item number 16. So this is Legal Services Task Order Amendment. In terms of the background, that first paragraph is just really a copy and paste from the previous item 15, so I won't go over the background. I'll actually start on paragraph 2. So on August 9th, 2022, the board approved the executive director engaging with Smith Law for legal services related to the I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project in the amount of $725,000. In September of that same year, I approved a project task order for legal services with Smith Law in the amount of $725,000. The task order supplements the standard engagement letter dated September 21st, 2021 that we have with Smith Law. On February 14th, 2024, I signed an amendment and restated project task order based on existing tasks and effort. The amended task order did not materially change the overall contract amount of $725,000. Based on the continuing legal services required for the successful completion of the sewer project, I've determined that additional legal services are needed. As such, I'm requesting the Board of Directors approve amending the existing project task order with Smith Law for the I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project by $200,000. In terms of the financial aspects of this request, the funds necessary for the proposed task order amendment were appropriated by the Board of Directors at the May 10th, 2022 board meeting when the board appropriated $1 million of Saguasa's CIP designated fund balance for legal services, related subcontracted services, land acquisition, easements, and permits. So this evening, my recommendation is the Board of Directors amend the existing project task order with Smith Law for the I-85 sanitary sewer system improvement project by $200,000, thus bringing the total project task order to a not to exceed amount of $925,000.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you. Any questions? Any?
In this analysis paragraph, it says the executive director has determined that additional legal services are needed. What additional legal services are needed?
Well, we still have tasks that are ahead of us in terms of the actual land acquisition, in terms of the subcontracted services that we have with Smith Law, including easements and additional permits that we have that he's working on for this project.
Oh, all right,
So
okay.
we aren't quite finished with those project
Okay,
tasks.
I thought it was something in addition to that.
No,
Okay.
it's germane to what we're working on presently.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion to amend the existing
Second.
project task order. I have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, then we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now we're down to number 17, comments from our executive director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. 3 items for you this evening. Water heater NO decay update. Item 2, PFAS technology toward Pittsburgh, North Carolina water facility. And also system development fee analysis draft report, public comment period reminder. So speaking about the water heater NO decay follow-up. So at the last board meeting, May 14th, 2024, during the public comments portion of the meeting agenda, Butner resident Chet Thompson inquired about water quality components and the premature decay of water heater anodes in some of the units he's installed during the past several months. I think most of the board members recall that comment section, which is documented in our minutes. Just some follow-up actions since the May 14th board meeting. I've contacted our water treatment superintendent and representatives from Hazen and Sawyer, professional engineering firm. Hazen and Sawyer is one of our on-call contractual engineering services. Has done a lot of work for us as far as water quality. Some of you may remember them as being the lead design engineer and project manager for the water plant upgrade that we completed successfully a year or so ago. I contacted this firm and also talked to our treatment superintendents to discuss water quality testing and conditions during the past 12 months and to determine what water characteristics could lead to premature decay of water heater anodes in general. Following the discussion with Hazen, I asked them to create a scope of work to evaluate our water quality parameters across our entire service area, not specifically in just one area, but our entire service area during the last 12 months, based on our quality sampling that we are required to do, to determine if there are any links to known causes for premature decay of water heater anodes. Due to the time of the year, closing out one fiscal year and starting another, I've asked for Hazen and Sawyer to begin that work in the new fiscal year, basically in July, and they've told me that the work can be completed within 45 days based on the analysis that we're able to provide to them. Based on that, I'm confident I can provide the board with an update regarding that report and that analysis, maybe sometime in August at the earliest, maybe September. So I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have regarding that topic and how we responded to that request from our customer base.
So anybody you spoke with inside of Saguasa had no idea of what may have changed?
We're not aware of any changes, quite honestly. And we're not about to state that there have been any changes related to this item. We thought the best idea was to go back and look at the analysis that we do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis and what we're required to report to the state, to look at all those parameters and say, is there any relationship to what we're seeing here? And also we're going to broaden our search beyond this area as well and do a national and world search to find out, are there any characteristics out there? Are there any manufacturers that have experienced decay of anodes versus other manufacturers, those type of things, but I thought it was a good time just to go back and take a review and see if there's any there, considering this item here, so look forward to seeing what the analysis shows us.
So it's just our staff doing this, research and checking on this
Hazen and
stuff?
Sawyer.
Yeah, I've asked my staff to basically
The
take
charges for this.
their state reports and all the sampling that they do and the analysis that we do, and provide that data to Hazen and Sawyer, our consultants, to run that analysis for us and look at those trends and apply that against other water system parameters.
How much is this gonna cost us?
Less than $12,000.
For one hot water tank?
We're looking
To do the
throughout the
research,
system,
yeah.
not
I'm not
just
focusing
one.
on one hot water tank here. I'm trying to substantiate whether there's any causal relationship between our water quality parameters and premature anode decay of water heaters in general.
Throughout the system.
I understand that, but we've only got one
No,
issue, one,
He said he had several, but he only brought one from,
and I've spoken to two different plumbers who haven't had any. One is at Raleigh and Bodie.
the only
They
thing I
don't
can
have any
think of
issues.
is the new anode
Bodie.
rods are made out of something new. Cause it's only happening on new hot water heaters, like it's not happening on the old hot water heaters. But I believe it's happened to 5 houses, not just one,
Okay.
from one plumber.
From one plumber, okay.
After the meeting the next day, I called PlumServe and talked to the owner. Her name is Tara. She said that has not happened to them, and she don't, maybe in 2 years. And she said it could be anything. She said it could be sediment. She said it could be hard water.
Yeah.
So, she seemed to know a lot of background about the anode, but she said they haven't had any issues or anybody calling them and describing that.
And
Yeah,
I
and-
had a hot water tank replaced the next day after that meeting, and my plumber came out of Raleigh and I asked him about the whole thing. He said he had he said it depends on the brand of hot water heater he thinks, because his, which are Allstate, he's never run into it.
And you said you spoke to Robert Ellington also.
Mhm.
And Robert said that he hadn't
He hadn't seen any.
seen any. That's
Not
what
that
he
he's
told
aware
you.
of. That's what he told me. Did he tell
Okay.
you something different?
Well, it might be
Did he tell you
the
something
brand
different?
of the
No,
water
I
heater. It could
hadn't
be
run into it.
a lot number of the,
It very, very well could be, and I appreciate the board's comments on this. I think the board understands my approach since I've been here, to look at the data, to analyze what's going on, to see if there's any trends there, for example.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, I've heard the same thing. So we'll do some analysis, we'll take a look at it and see if there's anything in our water as far as hardness or pH that may lead to something like that. But I think when you start to look across the market space at the different brands of water heaters, and you look at the different anode types, I'm not sure if we're gonna have a good cross-section to be able to really understand at the end
Right.
what's there, but I think it's a good responsibility approach from our point to at least take a look at this, because it was brought to our attention, and see what's there.
And the first thing you checked with the water plant was to see if they had changed anything, chemicals they were
Right.
using, and they haven't.
No.
So there wasn't any change in the process at the water plant. So therefore, I think that's why Scott went ahead
Look
and
at other.
look at system-wide.
we don't know how many complaints there are, do we?
Water quality complaints from,
Well, we have
I
not-
mean,
we
far
have-
as the,
The anodes.
No,
Dan,
we have not solicited any type of questionnaire survey regarding that at this point.
I was just wondering if those people that we know of, maybe you could find out what type of water heater they have.
He told us what type of water heaters he was installing.
Okay. So it's
So-
the same type then?
So, when we have a complaint about water, we go to the source and we get the water from there to verify that that's where the water's really coming from. We don't let somebody just bring in a cup of water and say this came from my house and it's all messed up, right?
Correct.
How do we know that anode came from anybody in the Seguasa system? There's no,
Well,
will he sign an affidavit
Well,
that
it
that's
was
where?
hers.
I understand that, but
Well,
She doesn't know what he brought us.
Commissioner, I don't know that.
And
I
I'm not
thought-
calling him a liar, it's just we don't know where that
No, I just-
anode came from.
When I look at this situation and I think about our responsibility for water and water quality and want to understand what that is, it seemed like the most cost-effective approach to take the path that we did by taking the data that we have and to have it analyzed independently and say, tell us what you're seeing here, not just across our area. Understand, let's be one of the test cases in this area, but take a broader look, if you will, and discover what's going on. I have no idea right now if there's anything going on or not, or if it's a certain brand, if it's not a certain brand, if it's a certain pH, if it's a certain hardness. We can talk about that all evening.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do that footwork, that legwork, if you will. I was gonna work with others to put that information together.
It's just that we just approved a budget and now we're spending $12,000 more than we had planned on in this calendar year.
Well, I think that, that is true. There's also money in our budget for these type of things, if
Okay.
and when they do come up,
All right,
because we do anticipate these
I
type
don't
of
want another budget
exercises.
amendment.
You will, unfortunately, you will continue to have budget amendments, because that's what we do. That's part of our business, but, I think it's, obviously, I'm recommending we move in this direction.
Okay,
Let's just see what turns out.
Any other comments, questions, concerns?
All
All
right,
right, thank you.
Next item is PFAS Technology Tour in Pittsboro, North Carolina. So on June 6th, Jonathan Yancey, the Sigowassee Water Treatment Superintendent, and I met with the Pittsboro, North Carolina Water Treatment Facility Superintendent to review the PFAS removal technology. They use a granulated activated carbon filter system that they've installed at their facility. This provided Jonathan and me an opportunity for an up-close and informative look at the system functionality. And to learn more about the operational side of the technology, including costs of operations. The tour was very helpful and allows Sigwassee's team to be better informed about PFAS reduction equipment as we advance towards design and construction of PFAS removal technologies. So again, it was very helpful to see a facility, talk to superintendents and staff. I wouldn't say there was any pitfalls. I was a little bit surprised by the cost of carbon. It's jumped up a lot in the last couple of years, and considering it's one of the primary components for reducing PFAS, and you can understand the market demand now for PFAS removal technology, the prices just keep going up for that. But it was a great tour, great opportunity to look at that. We also were able to talk to the water treatment superintendent about some additional testing that they're doing for an additional treatment. They're doing a pilot study on a new treatment that may be less costly than some of the current technologies that are out there. They said they should be completed with that test within the next 90 days. And I said, I will be calling you back in 90 days to find out how that went, so that we can take a look at that as possibly a technology that we can use to introduce into our PFAS removal process.
Scott, did they mention anything about using the granulated carbon and then an inert process so that there would not be any residue or anything left over to have to store?
You know, I'm not sure. I know that they're using the granulated activated carbon presently. And they said that with the newer technology that they're piloting, they may be able to reduce the reliance on the carbon, or they may be able to cut it out altogether. But you're right, there is a residue that's left over from that carbon. It's a filter system, basically, a large carbon filter system, and that is residual and hazardous waste they have to deal with as well.
Right.
Once it's treated. It's good to see a local agency that's doing this experimentation, and I believe that the superintendent told me that there's 3 or 4 other communities that are doing a pilot program as well in this new technology. So I think it bodes well for Sigowassee, considering that we're doing our pilot study beginning this summer, that we won't repeat that, but we'll actually be able to look at those results from their pilot study to factor that into our equation to solve this problem that we didn't create.
So that means they're still working on it. It's not real time yet for them.
That is correct.
Okay.
They'll have a decision point at some point whether they want to invest in that additional technology in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
does our facility, as it stands right now, if we went with the system that they're using, can it handle, or is it gonna require more construction to put the filtration system in?
It would require additional construction.
Okay,
In fact, I think that, depending on the type of technology that we install eventually, there's an associated cost per gallon, basically for that type of treatment. And I think that we've estimated anywhere from $10 million to $20 million of additional cost for those components. And maybe with this newer technology, it would be half that cost. We'll understand it as we get further down the line to make that decision. Something else I've talked to the board about as well, which is kind of interesting in this situation, is that we have the capability to produce more water at the facility than we're actually using at this time. So as we move forward, we're looking at potentially a treatment process that treats basically what we have today, or in the near future, as technologies change, look at possibly introducing new technology as the demand increases on our water plants. So kind of taking a scaled approach, because if we have enough capacity to last another 10, 15, 20, 30 years, we have to believe that technologies may change in the future for that, and why have that huge expense now for treating water that you're not using? So we're trying to look at the scalability of that at the same time to try to find the most cost-effective method.
Do you know about how many gallons per day Pittsboro treats?
They are treating right now, I think he said, about 1.4 million gallons per day.
1.4.
Yes, and we are about 3.0 MGD, 3.1 million gallons per day, and we peak sometimes at 4.
Okay. So
And we
basically, we probably, whatever we did, we need to be able to have the capacity to treat 4 million gallons per day.
Correct, and our plant, we're licensed at 7.5 million gallons
Yeah.
per day, just to give you an idea of scalability, where we are at 3.5 versus the 7.5 that we have available to us.
well, I'm glad that you went, because Linda, Vicky, and I all spoke to this gentleman at the City Vision Conference.
Yeah.
And we were very impressed with him, so I'm glad.
Was it the town manager you spoke with, do you recall?
No, it was the,
He was a commissioner, wasn't he?
Okay,
Yeah, he was a
commissioner, that's
commissioner,
right.
yeah, and
Commissioner.
OWASA is also looking at doing the same thing as well,
Yes.
so.
Correct.
Mhm.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see, last item here, system development fee analysis draft report, public comment period. So just a reminder that the board approved this item at the May board meeting, and this is a system development fee analysis draft report. We are required to have a public comment period for no less than 45 days. Our public comment period is now open through July 8th, 2024. And our website has the post for this information. Crystal created a nice page for this, and also a new form for public comments. They can submit public comments directly through the website to us, and we can take a look at those comments. There was a long list of tasks ahead of us before we get to a review and the board approval of the analysis. We may have that to the board as soon as August. It could be September at your board meeting when you see that, or have that opportunity to look at those system development fees and any changes that are recommended. That's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Comments from our attorney?
No comments tonight unless anyone has questions.
Okay, do you have anything for closed session?
I don't.
Nothing for closed session, thank goodness. Comments from board members, Mayor Jordan.
So I just wanna say, first of all, thank you to Scott and, Crystal and Richard for always doing a great job with providing us with, content for our meetings so that we can be effective in our decision-making. But I also wanna thank you, the board, for allowing me to return on the Sogowasso board as I transition off and pass the torch to Councilmember Cheek. I think she'll do a fabulous job, and I'll miss all of y'all, but I've got a lot
We'll
more
miss you
things to
too.
focus on. But it has indeed been a great pleasure to learn more about, what Sogowasso is doing, and to build that relationship with Scott, so I do appreciate that, so y'all have fun.
We're gonna miss you,
Yeah.
but we also welcome Ms. Cheek. Councilperson Daniels.
I was just gonna say, it's been a pleasure working with you, Linda, on the Sawaska board.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to working with Judy, as with everyone else, as we continue looking forward to our goals and meeting, hopefully less amendments, change orders. But we know that's part of,
Yes, it is.
completing our goals.
Yeah.
But I thought we had a very productive meeting tonight, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner McLam.
No comment tonight.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Kaczynski.
Such a long time.
Yeah,
It is, it's too many words. Thank you to HR and Finance and Scott for bringing us all this, and thank you to the Smith Law Firm for all their hard work on these easements, and hopefully we are at the end of this process and get them done and go forward with our bidding and get this contract started. I apologize about the Joe Pete Pump Station on behalf of the city of Creedmoor. I didn't put it in.
part of that Cadillac
They're
system.
part of that Cadillac system, which, yeah, we won't go there. Linda,
Yes, ma'am.
it has been a pleasure to serve with you on this board, Finance
you.
Committee. So excited that you're the mayor of Butner.
Thank you.
And I am gonna miss you, but I know that you've got a lot of hats you're wearing and a lot of projects you're involved in. I wish you great success in every one of them.
Oh, thank you.
And I will miss you. But you've left me in capable hands
Yes.
with two more fine people from your council. I won't hurt them. They'll be at all
Not
your
much.
meetings.
Not much anyway.
And it looks like this end of the table will be females and that end will be male. We're gonna split the testosterone and estrogen right down the middle.
I will tell Way that you said that.
Yes, yes, we will definitely tell.
Tell them.
Okay. All right. And as for me, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Again, I want to thank our executive director, Shroya, for all the work he does. Thank our HR department, thank our finance department, and most of all, thank all the employees that are out in this heat working
Oh, yeah.
working days and sometimes working
Working
nights
nights.
also. We appreciate all that they do for us and for the Water and Sewer Authority. Thank you all. And with that, if is there any further business to come before the board? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, she's gonna let you do it.
Oh, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Oh, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Is there any, I don't think there's gonna be any discussion on the motion.
No.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favor say bye.
Bye.
All those opposed say stay.
And they can say.
Byes have it. We are officially adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.